I think their kind of some of their tools work really well. The other thing is they've done some extensions that work really well as well, like the DocuSign on the mobile, the Chrome extension, that kind of stuff. We've actually hacked that a little bit and changed that, and given the feedback back to them. And the integrations work really well as the one with Google Drive as well. So, and I think the other thing that they've also invested a lot of time in is the, not to sound like an incredible fan, we'd probably like, for example, like Adobe Sign, I think is actually better on the pricing tier, and they have share many of the same features. But because it's kind of Google blessed, like that's why we use it. If they had other solutions, we'd probably check them out because I don't want to be relying on one particular vendor here. But yeah, so yeah.
No, interesting. Okay. And so you mentioned they have a lot of integrations that you guys use and you love them. So can you elaborate on that? Like what integrations you use, how often, which departments, what purposes?
Yeah, so I think in terms of the Chrome extension, I think we kind of use that for quite a bit in terms of just being able to deliver it and being able to kind of expand for it, right? In terms of like looking at the I think their apps in terms of the mobile app for Android, etc. We use them both for for signatures, edits, etc. But as we kind of talked about, we actually run it on the kind of the Chromebooks, so we don't actually have to deal with any of the products. I think the other thing is e-signature API that we kind of talked about. This is something that has been really, really useful for us. So when we talked about like some of the actual kind of SDKs, I'll look it up for a second and give you another one. Like this is the only one that. So I count right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 of the most popular languages that we had. So for example, they still have an Objective-C interface and Python interface, etc. We use a bunch of those because we have a diversity of languages that we use, right? As you can imagine, we have everything from like, for example, VR and AR primarily like you still develop in C# or F#, etc. On the Android environment, you do Java SDK, etc. So we use that. In terms of the actual kind of we also revision and kind of try to keep track of the API requests that we have. So stuff like Swagger, things like that that they use are quite good. They're also integrated in stuff like Postman, so you can actually test against many of the. It's actually really easy to test some of the API stuff, and that like APIs can really be a black box in terms of testing some of the stuff. So like that is something that's really really useful to us. Also in terms of like the Power Forms and the Power Form data, in terms of being able to do like bulk list senders, that kind of stuff. That's really useful to us. And also when you're talking about organizing that stuff, I think they've done a good job in terms of the signing groups, user groups, and really like you can organize that because we have so you might have, in our case, it's a really messy relationship, right? Like you have, in terms of the right holders, you have like a dude that's like, one guy, that's very rare that one person that's, for example, like written a song, like, written the lyrics, performed it, etc. All of those guys might be different parties, and most usually are. Some of them might be the same. Some of them, and they might be in different geographies. They might be in different, and all of them have different privileges in terms of what data or groups they belong to. So, for example, if I'm a singer-songwriter, if I'm John Mayer, I'm both a singer-songwriter and the artist, etc. Right? He doesn't get the same form, but like he falls into a special case if he's